Hanging by a thread, holding on by just a few cables, this semi-truck feet away from hitting the Sheridan Expressway.
It hit the first car on the far left lane and then came across, hit the other car, and then hit the side of the divider over here.
In the thick of Memorial Day traffic, officials say the truck driver hit two cars around noon before losing control, ending up lodged on the guardrail. We're told 3 people were injured, one of them the truck driver, who was able to escape his dangling trailer.
The truck driver was able to climb out of the cab down onto the Sheridan, and he was taken with minor injuries also to the hospital.
As those 3 people were rushed to St. Barnabas Hospital, crews rushed to the scene, scrambling to make sure the truck didn't topple over onto the roadway below.
You put your game face on and you get the job done. That's about it.
And that delicate job took 5 to 6 hours as they slowly maneuver the semi back onto the overpass, clearing up the mess and the traffic.
Everything had to take its time. Everything takes its course. First we separated the trailer from the tractor, then we concentrated on working on the tractor. It was just really messed up.
Now the guardrail is left like this, but officials are thankful the truck didn't have much cargo because things could have been a lot worse.
It's not as heavy as it could have been, so the weight of that might have done more damage, and it possibly could have flipped over down onto the Sheridan Expressway as well.
This normally quiet block jolted into chaos when police say a stolen car came thundering down Pacific Street just after 12:30 Tuesday afternoon. We're told both the driver and the passenger tried running away, but police weren't far behind.
One cop, then see like so many. They come in this way and that way, you know.
They caught up with the passenger and took him into custody. 58-year-old Oscar Pagan charged with grand larceny and criminal possession of stolen property. Although the driver escaped, police say they know who they're looking for. Concluding a wild journey that began in the Park Slope Gowanus area where the car was reported stolen and spanning several neighborhoods with police in hot pursuit. The stolen vehicle leaving a path of destruction, about half a dozen vehicles severely damaged, if not completely destroyed, in its wake.
Unfortunately, I switched trucks with my father this morning, so I had to call him and say, sorry, Dad.
Jack Penning's truck was so badly damaged, it also needed to be towed. Luckily, this and everything else destroyed in the incident can be replaced.
Just a bad day. Nobody got hurt, though, so that's the main thing.
In Cobble Hill, Tony Chow, News 12, Brooklyn. Well, one of Guzman's defense attorneys told the media after the trial that they fought like complete savages in his defense, but ultimately it was not enough as he was found guilty on all 10 counts for his role in a major international drug trafficking scheme. And I want to emphasize that because his role in that scheme was a major point of contention during the trial. His defense attorneys painted him as a scapegoat who was not responsible for what the Sinaloa drug cartel did, but prosecutors made the winning argument that El Chapo was the mastermind behind the plot, bringing billions of dollars worth of drugs into the U.S.
El Chapo was the man behind the curtains. He pulled all the strings. He directed all of the production, the smuggling, the transportation, distribution of billions upon billions of dollars worth of narcotics into the United States.
And back at the courthouse here, security remained tight through the end of the trial. Agents armed with military weapons stood guard while attorneys made their statements. We even spotted El Chapo's wife leaving the courthouse. She was swarmed by the media but did not offer any comment or reaction to the verdict. Meanwhile, El Chapo is expected to be sentenced on June 25th. Prosecutors say they expect him to spend the rest of his life behind bars at a high-security prison designed and chosen specifically with his escape history in mind. Meanwhile, his defense attorneys say this isn't over quite yet and they plan on appealing the conviction. Here in downtown Brooklyn, Tony Chow, News 12, The Bronx.
Brooklyn, I'm Annalisa Klebers. Our top story, a police officer is now recovering in the hospital after being shot this morning in Bed-Stuy. One man is now in custody. This shooting comes one day after the one-year death anniversary of NYPD detective Mio Sotis Familia. News 12 reporter Katie Lusso is at the scene with the very latest.
And a very chaotic morning here in Bed-Stuy. As you can see, much of the roadway is still closed off. This crime scene is very large at this point, as investigators certainly have their work cut out for them. And as you said, this coming just one day after the one-year anniversary of the death of Detective Mio Sotis Familia, something the police commissioner says this could have been a whole lot worse. A chaotic and massive scene after the call that an NYPD officer had been shot in Bed-Stuy.
So the cop was shot your kid, come over here, get out of here, get out of here. They just started, you see the yellow tape, they just started pushing people back.
Seen a whole bunch of police in plain clothes and cop cars. It was a whole lot of them.
Around 6:40 this morning, police say members of the Brooklyn North Warrant Squad came across 33-year-old Kelvin Stickle, who they say was wanted for domestic robbery involving a firearm. The police commissioner says when the officers made a U-turn, Stickle started to run.
The officers were able to get in front of the suspect, get out of their vehicle, and chased him on foot. The police identified themselves and told the man to show him his hands. The suspect then displayed a gun and shot at the officers, striking a detective once in the leg.
The officers returning fire but say Stickle took off, responding officers tracking him down inside a hallway at 39 Kingston Avenue and recovered this firearm nearby that they say is his.
He's currently being treated at another hospital for an apparent gunshot wound, is expected to survive, and will be charged.
As for the detective, who we're told has 7 years on the job, he was taken to Kings County and is being treated for a gunshot wound to his leg.
He's more concerned about his two partners than he was about himself. He's with his family up there, he's with his wife, and he's in great spirits. He's absolutely great spirits. He's a real tough guy.
And that NYPD officer again expected to make a full recovery and hopefully be released from the hospital sometime today. As for the suspect, he is awaiting charges in all of this. In the meantime, the investigation continues out here with much of the area still taped off. We are told the suspect does have several prior arrests, and of course we will keep you posted as we get new information throughout the day. In Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, I'm Katie Lusso, News 12.
Thank you, Katie. Time now.
Police say the fight began on Monday just before 1 in the afternoon. A large group of people were leaving Beit al-Maqdis Mosque on 6th Avenue after a funeral, according to one witness who says the street was congested with double-parked cars.
The funeral had just finished, and the Congress were coming out, and as they were crossing the street, that's when the FedEx truck hit the guy.
That witness from the mosque says a FedEx truck tried to navigate the traffic but backed up into a 46-year-old man who was leaving the funeral. That witness says a group of congregants then surrounded the truck.
Somehow words were exchanged and then physical contact, and they started swinging and punching each other.
Police say a 23-year-old man who was part of the group of congregants punched a 25-year-old FedEx worker in the face. Then the other FedEx employee hit the man on the head with a fire extinguisher that was inside the truck.
And one of the guys, he had a box cutter. It appeared to be like a black box cutter. He was just swinging away.
One of the workers, according to police, slashed a 56-year-old man's right hand. FedEx responding to the incident in a statement on Monday, writing, "We are aware of preliminary reports regarding this disturbing incident and are cooperating with investigating authorities to determine the facts. Until then, further questions should be directed to local law enforcement." Police tell us several people were treated for minor injuries and 3 people were taken into custody. Those 3 people include 2 FedEx workers and one of the congregants. In Sunset Park, Hannah Klieger, News 12 Brooklyn.
News 12 Brooklyn's Tony Chow joining us tonight from the scene with the latest on this. Tony.
Yeah, Jess, the crime scene unit has spent most of the afternoon concentrating on that one garbage can and some evidence surrounding it. Around 2:30 this afternoon, forensic teams were seen gathering an assortment of items around the garbage can and taking them away to be examined. Sources say there appears to be a saw blade inside the can, although it's unclear if that's what they removed. This extensive investigation stemming from the mysterious death of a 26-year-old woman identified as Brandy Odom. Her body was discovered dismembered and scattered around the park. Sources say a tattoo of the word chocolate on her chest helped police identify her. Now that they've solved the question of who she was, the attention is now turning to who killed her. The NYPD putting out a $2,500 reward for information leading to an arrest, something that would bring a great sense of relief to the entire community.
To wind up like this, I don't know what that was about. And and at the end of the day, I really don't care right now. What I care about is whoever committed this crime going to jail.
And that community advocate you just heard from has been in touch with Odom's family. They plan on holding a vigil for her here tomorrow night. In Canarsie, Tony Chow, News 12, Brooklyn.